How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the whiteboard. This week, we are talking about a topic that I think is absolutely fascinating. And it all stems from changing human behavior and the ways that marketers have responded to it. So, a lot of times when we talk to clients or I speak with individuals, they come and say, we need to do certain things in order to improve the conversion rate on our website, in order to get better results, in order to scale our paid media. And almost always, some variant of these four things comes up. Thing number one, we need to reduce the effort. We need to make it super easy for our users to convert because they don't want to work hard. They don't want to do anything. They want to just do the thing. Thing number two, when they get to our landing page, they want to hear what we have to say, right? We need to make sure that our value props, that our features are prominent, that our case studies are at the top, because that's what we care about. So therefore, that's what they care about. Thing number three, once they hit the site, whatever happened before doesn't matter. That pre-click experience, that pre-visit experience, that doesn't matter. We need to focus on what's on the page now. And thing number four, we need to eliminate all friction. This needs to be like butter down a hill, as easy, as fast as possible. And there was a time when these principles were, we'll call it uncommon, but followed, and they were effective because most people were new to the internet, right? This was 2010, 2015. We don't live in that world anymore. The incrementality that comes from doing these things is zero. Instead, the smart play, the thing that more brands are doing, is actually going the opposite direction, which sounds crazy, but that's the title of this week's video. Friction can be good, or friction isn't always bad. So let me tell you the four principles that we are following and using with clients that are actually getting far better results than these old, outdated things. So thing number one, you should make the journey interesting and enjoyable, even if that journey is a little bit longer. So this stems from an acknowledgement that most customers actually want to do a little bit of work before they give you something valuable. They want to discover more about your brand or your product or your service. They want to understand and imagine how it could impact their lives. They want to hear or see from others, whether that's on your site or on a Reddit site or on Twitter or on Facebook or on Instagram, what actual users, customers, etc. have felt, right? They want to understand the real experience, because we are dealing with an increasingly savvy, increasingly informed consumer base who's been around the block. They've been sold crappy goods on Shein or Temu. They've been duped. They are now more willing to invest a little bit of time up front to avoid that bad experience on the back end. So as long as you make that journey interesting and relevant, they're okay with going through multiple pages. They're okay with longer pages, right? That's okay. You actually get higher conversion rates we get higher conversion rates on longer pillar pages than we do on squeeze pages, because we make that journey enjoyable, to helping them understand what our solution does, what it doesn't do, who it's right for, who it's not. And we provide studies and proof points and customer testimonials throughout that allow them to meander through and get the information that they need. This leads me to a second and related point. Whenever we talk to a CRO agency, the first thing they almost always tell us is, you've got to shorten the page. You've got to make the content smaller. You've got to reduce the number of form fills. You've got to reduce the number of checkout steps. It's always about cutting. I think that's stupid. It's moronic. People don't need less information. They need the right information for them. So your focus from an optimization standpoint should be on discoverability. Can you make it easy for the people coming to your site to find the thing that they need to hear based on their own life experience, their own challenge, their own pain points, their own goals, their own dreams, whatever they have, to get them to a yes or to a no, because either one is okay. What is not okay, and what most of these old, outdated tactics do, is they get you the yes, but the yes isn't real. And in e-commerce, that looks like, yeah, they bought it, they pressed checkout, but now they're returning it. As a brand, that's a double L. Number one, I don't get to keep the revenue because I got to give it back. And number two, I'm now paying on both ends for shipping potentially, and I've got to mark down that product because it was returned. So odds are I can't sell it as new. I've lost twice. I paid to acquire a customer that wasn't real, then I paid to get the product back that I still have to sell cheaper. That's terrible. In lead generation, that looks like no-showed appointments. That looks like low-quality forms. That looks like window shoppers who aren't really buyers. That looks like forms being submitted by people who are just curious, but maybe aren't actually the real decision maker, because they could answer all the basic questions, but when the second you had more sophisticated questions or questions that only a decision maker would know, they would ordinarily abandon, but now they go through. So the conversion rate on the form looks higher. Our start to complete rate goes way up. But the completed form to customer rate goes way down. Again, those are double L's, because I'm paying to acquire somebody who's not real, one, and two, I am taking time from my sales team to talk to this person, to chase this person, to call them, to text them, to email them, and they were never real. It's a double L. Don't do that. It is better, if you look at the totality of the business, for you to make this journey interesting and enjoyable and relevant to the right customers, even if that involves longer content, even if that involves them having to do a little bit of work. As long as it's intuitive and enjoyable and helps them get to a yes or a no, it's a good thing. You should embrace longer content and spend more of your effort not on cutting, but on making it easy for every person to find the thing that they need, whether that's social proof or how it works, or benefits, or case studies, or product in action, or whatever else it is. Make it easy for them to find that bit of content across your lander, your post-click experience, your pillar page, whatever it is. Make it easy for them to find it, and you'll be rewarded with customers who, when they do check out, they do so intentionally. They hold on to the product, the return rate goes down, the show rate goes up, and you are happy. Right, number two, let people tell you what they want. So often when I talk to a CRO agency, when I talk to another performance marketing agency, and we do this relatively frequently, I hear, well, we know what our customers want. Okay, well, how? Explain to me in small words how you know what your customer wants. And the end result is usually some variant of the following three things. We just know. We've worked in this industry, sector, whatever, forever, and we know this customer type. Or we've done some kind of market research or customer research, which could be an actual survey, which could be a focus group, which could be ChatGPT, which could be just trust me, bro. But whatever it is, that's the excuse that we usually get. I'm like, okay, well, you're basing an entire post-click experience, the highest leverage thing that you've got, on what is essentially bullshit. How about we do something novel and we put all the stuff that we genuinely believe could be reasonable and relevant and valuable, we make it super easy to discover, we make the journey enjoyable, and then we put some heat map tracking on the page and we find out what people actually want. And we stop treating all the customers like a monolithic block, and we give them the ability to discover what they need. And then we monitor that, and based on how people are interacting with the page, that's what we actually move up and make easier to find, and what they don't is what we push down. How about we let the people decide? How about we actually use heat maps the way they should be used to tell us what's actually driving positive outcomes? And at this point, this is usually where I become public enemy number one at some other place. But it's true. It makes too much sense. Instead of relying on an assumption, let's allow our post-click experience to validate the assumption. Let's let the people tell us what they want and then give it to them in a really nice, interesting, informative, etc. way, right? Don't rely on assumptions. If an agency is like, well, just trust us. No, validate. Trust but verify. Reagan said it. I'm sure the KGB said it. But they were probably both right. Just trust me, bro, is not a good strategy for ads, for conversion rate, etc. Have an opinion, test it with data, use heat maps, stop sucking. Thing number 3. This one is controversial. So much of the discourse online has been about creative diversity, and that's a really good conversation. It's something that was much overdue. The days of one ad for everybody were kind of boring and dumb and stupid, right? We deserved better ads, and thankfully people are finally getting better ads. The problem is that that has come at the expense of what happens next. My operating theory, and the thing that we have proven out time and time again, is that the ad is between 10 and 20% of the total thing. The remaining 80 to 90% is what happens after the click. This has been borne out in brand studies for years, and it remains true. The post-click experience matters a lot more than you think. And if you're spending 90% of your effort creating more and more and more variants of ads, and you're sending all those many, many different ads that are super interesting and creative all to the same generic landing page, you are leaving money on the table. I'm not saying you need one lander for every ad, but that wouldn't hurt. But I am saying you need to tailor the ad, the offer, and the lander and create alignment, right? That's what you're really looking for. You want congruence between ad, offer, post-click experience. So what does that actually mean? It means taking the time to think about, okay, if somebody's seeing this ad, they're going to expect to see some kind of pull through of that ad once they get to my site. They see an influencer or a creator. At the very least, I should feature that influencer or creator on my landing page. They see a promo or a sale. When I get to my landing page, that promo or sale should be prominently featured. It should be pulled through. You know, they see a case study or a walkthrough or a benefit. They should get to a page that talks more about or references that case study or that feature or that benefit in a way that builds on it and that adds value to them. And then follow principle number 1. Make that journey from getting to that page to the place that you want them more enjoyable. Help them find the rest of the content that they need to finish their own little puzzle and get to a yes or a no. Align the ad with the experience, and you will get a higher conversion rate. You will get a lower cost per conversion. You will be happier. It is the highest leverage thing you can do because it impacts the entire ad account. You're not fighting over a slightly higher performance on a creative. And the hot take version of this is that a lot of the ads that might be losers in your ad account, those ads are actually really good. The ad sucks because your post-click experience sucks. The ad's doing its job. It's getting people to the page, but when they get there, there's no congruence. They feel like they just jumped off a cliff. I wouldn't buy either. They don't trust you anymore. You're destroying the trust, you're destroying the belief, you're destroying the journey. You're making their life harder and not in a good way. The final piece is, this one really does annoy people. Some friction is good, actually. It is okay to put some friction. Friction builds character. It makes it actually worthwhile for the person, right? It shows them an investment. If it's super, super, super easy and all I do is click, the quality goes down because anybody can do it, right? We see this all the time. And if you run Facebook lead forms or LinkedIn lead forms or even like those Google lead forms that no one actually completes, right? If you do those things, you know that the quality of a Facebook lead form submission and the quality of a website lead form submission are actually very, very, very different, even if they have the same fields. And the only variable here is friction. The website lead form requires me to click on an ad, go to a page, see more, get some information, and make a decision about whether or not to go or not. The Facebook lead form is mostly pre-populated. All I have to do is press submit. It's so easy, it's almost forgettable. You want somebody who is going to be your customer or potential client or a prospect, you want them to actually want to do business with you, right? You want them to be somewhat invested in an ongoing transaction or relationship. So some friction is good. The same thing is true for what form fields. One of the first things CRO agencies will recommend is slash that form field, no more than 5 form fields, and you'll get more leads. And they are right. Objectively speaking, they will get more conversions on a shorter form than a longer form. What they don't tell you is the quality of the submissions will go way down. You will get more, the conversion rate will go up, and they will tout that as a success. But they aren't measuring the right thing, number one. And number two, not all form submissions are good. Right? The right thing to measure is form start to form completion to qualification, qualification to close. Right? You want to measure the full journey on a form. And for customers, you want to measure add to cart to checkout, checkout to completed transaction, like checkout start to completed transaction to actual permanence, so to speak, like outside of the return window, they actually kept the product, they didn't return it, etc. And first purchase to next purchase. That's what you should be optimizing for, the full journey. And when you apply that frame on top of this bad advice, what you will see is that yes, you get more forms submitted. Yes, you do get more purchases. But the rate at which the forms are qualified goes way down. The rate at which they show up for meetings goes way down. The rate at which they actually turn into paying customers goes way down. Because this principle is built on a stupid assumption. And that assumption is that if you remove the friction, the population who will complete the form will remain consistent. That is false. It is dumb. If you tried to get it published in a peer-reviewed journal, they would reject you. Now, I'm not saying you need to build your studies in a way that would get you into a peer-reviewed journal, but I am saying that when you change and remove friction, you change the population and you change the dynamics of who is completing it. Some friction is good because it prevents certain types of people from doing it. People who aren't the real decision maker, people who are scared. For instance, in a B2B form, we ended up actually hurting the conversion rate by adding several more qualification questions that asked for annual budget, decision timeline, how many people were in the decision, and what the current tech stack was. The conversion rate on the form actually went down by almost 50%. The qualification rate on those forms went up by over 300%. So tell me, did that change actually hurt their conversion rate? The answer, if you measure how a CRO agency does, is yes. The answer, if you measure how a CEO or a chief sales officer measures, is hell no. Because some friction is good, actually. Some friction weeds out the people that you don't want. Some friction makes people invested in continuing the conversation or in getting to the outcome. That's the friction you should keep. Now, don't keep the bad friction. That's like the broken checkout experience or the links that go to nowhere or the form that doesn't actually submit or the form validations that are broken. That's bad friction. That's stupid. That you should fix. But the stuff that weeds out the people who are not qualified or weeds out the people that are just going to check out just to turn around and return it, that's good. Because when you look at the full business, when you look beyond just the conversion rate to the customer rate or the client rate, that's what drives it up. So as you think about optimizing your website, I hope you keep these 4 principles in mind, and I hope they can help you not only improve the experience on your website, but improve the results you're getting from it. Talk to you next week.